Naptan backs Asuu, warns federal government. The Parent Teacher Association of Nigeria, Naptan, has backed Asuu and warned the federal government. According to the Punch, the national president of the Parent Teacher Association of Nigeria, Haruna Danjuma, has condemned the payment of half salaries for October 2022 to lecturers in public universities by the federal government, describing it as tantamount to pushing them to the wall. The national president of the association, Haruna Danjuma, who stated this in an interview with Sunday Punch on Saturday, noted that the initial agreement between Asuu and the Ministries of Education and Labor and Employment was that full salaries for the months the lecturers were on strike would be paid in due course after the industrial action was called off. And according to Danjuma, the government's action was not only unjust, but could also result in another strike. Members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities had lamented the payment of half salaries for October by federal government despite their decision to call off their 8-month strike in line with a court order. However, the government explained that the payment was pro rata as the lecturers could not be paid for work not done. Can you imagine? But reacting to this development, Danjuma said, "Our stance as Naptan is that we were in utter surprise when we learned of this development of half salaries payment for Asuu members. This is because we all agreed before now that full salaries should be paid to the then striking lecturers." Asuu has obeyed the law and order of the court by calling off the strike as directed. Unfortunately, the government has not followed the same law and order. The court told the government to look into the matter raised by Asuu and address them while classes continue. But they, the government, have not done that based on the information at my disposal, Danjuma said. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbadabiamila, also promised the union that the presidency would look into their demands. He has not done so. Can you imagine? He said, he added, the entire parents are urging the federal government to pay up the salaries of the entire 8 months to our respected lecturers. What exactly are the half salaries for? Is it for the days the lecturers went back to classes? What will happen to the remaining 7 months and 15 days or so that they were demanding that the right thing be done? We are calling on the government to respect law and order as Asuu has done. Our hands are tied, and we want the government to explain to us in clear terms why they would pay half salaries for October. This was not the agreement. Asuu issues are different from other labor issues because of the sensitivity of their role. They are always on the ground. In the end, the lecturers will still teach our children. We beg the federal government to stop pushing Asuu to the wall because we cannot afford another strike. Wow. So this is what Danjuma Haruna is saying, all right, as the President General of National Parent Teacher Association of Nigeria. So now they are supporting Asuu and also warning federal government because federal government is pushing Asuu to the wall. Now what you say here, they went into a meeting and then they agreed that the court ordered that Asuu should resume work, open schools, while federal government should go and look into the Asuu issues and resolve them immediately. All right? And they agreed that all the Asuu members, their salary for the full 8 months or 15 days or so that they have been demanding for their right should be paid. Their salary should be paid for that 8 months. All right? And then they also agreed that Speaker of the House of Rep, Femi Gbadabiamila, should also promise them that he will go and seek presidency to see how their issue will be resolved. Femi Gbajabiamila has not done that. Now, Asuu called off strike and decided to come back to classes, hoping that all their salary for the full 8 months will be paid. Federal government went and paid them half salary. All right? And the excuse federal government is saying is that the half salary they paid them is pro rata, that they cannot pay for work not done. What does that mean? Who made them not to do that work? Who made them to sit at home? All right? For the period that Asuu was negotiating that right, that was an official work because they were not doing their personal business at home. They were engaged in official matters for the whole period. Unfortunately, the government did not see it as necessary to resolve the issue by paying them what they're asking for, or conclude a healthy negotiation so that classes can resume in a timely manner. Now, even the court that said that they should go and resolve it, what is the essence of going to court? So the court just issued the command or an order for schools to resume. That is all. That is the only order there. The other part is that government should go, that they are giving opportunity, leeway, soft landing to go and make sure they meet Asuu demand. So who is the court favoring in that judgment? All right? Who has the court tied in that judgment? That is abuse of human resources. It's abuse of human resources. Now, the Ministry of Labor and Productivity under Ngige is making certain decisions on behalf of the federal government that is not healthy for our children, for our populace, for our society. Forgetting that they themselves that are also in the helm of affairs were also taught by lecturers because they claim to be graduates, they claim to be doctors, they claim to be pharmacists, they claim to be engineers, they claim to be lawyers. They were taught by this same lawyer, these same lecturers and professors in the schools. And with Osinbajo there as a son and as a vice president, he's still not able to intervene in this. In judiciary, Osinbajo should be able to intervene. In academics, Osinbajo should be able to intervene as a vice president. He's still not doing anything about it. Gbajabiamila promised to go and meet federal government on behalf of the Asuu to have a healthy conclusion of the negotiation. He hasn't done that. Now, the National Association of the Parent Teachers group, they are now coming back to tell federal government, what are you doing? You are simply pushing this Asuu to the wall. Pay them so that the children can leave home and go back to classes, so that the lecturer can also teach the children happily. All right? 8 months at home. Children are turning to criminals. Children are doing several other things. And that is why there's a slogan in Nigeria today that education is a scam. Because going to school now is not adding value in Nigeria. The quality of education in Nigeria has fallen to zero because of this incessant strike. All right? And lecturers are no longer doing their job wholeheartedly because the job of lecturing is downtrodden, is no longer valuable. So lecturers are now deciding on other businesses they can do. I asked a question the other day. How do we even think that by the time the school resumes fully, that all the lecturers will come back to work? They will not come back to work. You know why? The 8 months they have been made to stay at home on strike, most of these lecturers have found other lucrative things to do that will put food on the table and that will make them live up to their responsibilities as men and women that have families to cater for. So I'm telling you that most lecturers must have gotten businesses that are more profitable than being a lecturer or than doing a lecturing job. And so I'm sure that by the time Asuu goes back to classes, most of these lecturers will not be there. In fact, most of them are already jackpotting abroad. That is the truth. Most lecturers are already getting visas either to study, to further their studies abroad, and from there again their stay abroad, or even get international job on skill worker visa program and sky to United States, United Kingdom, and Canada, and probably Australia and some other parts of Europe. So people are already pushed to the wall to go find alternatives for survival, and they're already doing that. And this government, it doesn't bother them that we are losing our intellectuals to foreign countries, foreign nations. That the things that make up a quality society is currently being downtrodden under their watch. It's unfortunate that we have this kind of government that's insensitive to education and everything that makes the well-being of a citizen. And I'm sure it's part of the same Fulani agenda. If they say, why are they talking about Fulani? They don't value education. What is Boko Haram? That Western education is abomination. So they hate education. And that is why they're destroying education to the lowest. They're destroying education. Because by education, people will be well trained, will be fully aware of their right, and can fight for injustice. And they don't like that. And that's what they're doing in the North. Very few few of them that are privileged to go to school went to school. And then they disenfranchise the rest. They don't go to school, they turn it to amajiris. And they be using them for jihad activities in the North by brainwashing them religiously and be using them for causing mayhem in the life of other citizens. It's quite unfortunate. And Ngejebi, an Igbo man who understands education, that calls himself a doctor, is also doing this. There's nothing you take to that ministry that you get result. So they should better go and pay Asuu the complete salary, and so that they can come back to classes and then education can resume normally. If not, Nigeria will also be heading towards bottomless pit educationally. And that is what it is right now. Even if school open now, some students will not even like to go back to school again. To hell with school in Nigeria. That is the truth. To hell with academics in Nigeria, because of the way we are treating education sector. Budgets have been made for Ministry of Education, especially for public schools. Now, what are those budgets used for now? What is happening in that sector? Now, the years ending now, they will be putting budgets together for next year. The Ministry of Health will come with its budget. The Ministry of Education will come with its budget. The Ministry of Transport will come with its budget. The Ministry of Energy, Solid Minerals will come with its own budget. At the end of the year, all the budgets will be spent, and we don't see anything productive about Nigeria. It's quite unfortunate that we're in this mess. So thank you for listening. That is what the Parent Teachers Association of Nigeria is, Naptan, is saying to federal government to better do the needful so that Asuu can go back to classes and children at home can go back to school. Pay them their full salaries, adhere to court laws, and then meet their demands so that education can go on normally in the country. Education is the bedrock of every successful nation. Now we have destroyed that bedrock in Nigeria, and there's no way we can expect Nigeria to be successful. That is the gospel truth. So thank you for listening. Let's have your comments below as well on the federal government behavior towards Asuu. Asuu should not be blamed if they take another straight action, because federal government is pushing them to the wall by their action of paying half salaries and saying they cannot pay for a job not done. Meanwhile, they made them to stay at home. Well, that is the situation, and thank you for listening. Let's have your comments below.